I just learned some jazz today. It's true. He just learned some jazz today. And you gon' learn
Guys, listen. If you guys are listening to this episode, I want you to just go one step further and subscribe to the Passion to Profit podcast. That way, every week when a new episode comes out, you'll be notified. Thank you.
when I run the back and pull up the track, cause yo, couldn't believe them stories
59.
conceived for no reason.
59 pounds you lost. Or is it more than that?
That's a good. I got up to 65 at one point. We'll average it at 60.
So you average at 60 pounds lost. How long? So in this episode, we're going to be talking a lot about your journey, how you lost weight, kind of how that kind of kickstarted your blog. And now you're doing a podcast in the attic. So, you know, I think I'll be interested in just like knowing like the full story, like where you come from, how it started, what sparked the weight loss. And then from there, we can just kind of get into tips and tricks and, you know, what's the old adage about losing weight, or this like whatever the old adages are, we'll have them in this episode.
We'll find them. We'll dig them up. All right. So start at the beginning. So I grew up here in West Michigan, and I've been overweight really since I was a little kid. There's no like super thin person in my DNA on any side. No one's super athletic. We're all nice, you know, sturdy people.
A little pudgy.
Yeah. And, you know, when you grow up in a sedentary community like West Michigan, you know, people drive everywhere around here. There's no real walking. It's not very walkable in terms of you're not really walking to the grocery store or walking to your friend's house or walking out to eat. So it's a sedentary lifestyle I was living. And I grew up in a very affluent neighborhood that was very heavy on the athletics. And when that happens, you get cut from any sports team you apply for before you like walk in the door.
Mm.
So I mean, you know me pretty well, and I'm pretty active. I like to do things. I love skiing, for example, was one of my first favorite sports. I was in the ski club in middle school and loved to ski. Volleyball was one of my favorite sports. So one of my first, it starts in like 7th grade. I was on the volleyball team, intramural, of course. And I remember sitting down in the middle school and they're like, okay, girls, do we all want to play or do we want to win? And if you live in East Grand Rapids, you're playing to win. So that meant I wasn't going to play because I wasn't that good.
So they asked you that like what age? Like 12?
I was
12, 13 or younger than that?
I was 12.
Man, that's crazy.
12. So from the age of 12 and before that.
Do you want to play or do you want to win?
Do you want to play or do you want to win?
Wow.
Even in elementary school, you know, you have the team captains. I was the last. And then the kid that would have to have me on his team was never, he had like a sad look on his face. Like it was very evident that he was disappointed he got stuck with me, as opposed to like the first few kids were chosen.
Oh yeah, when they pick out the people on the team or whatever.
Right. So some poor captain would get stuck with me as opposed to wanting me on their team. So these messages started pretty early. And I remember also I loved to dance. So I took dance lessons from age of 3 on. And as you can imagine in dance, you're wearing like skin tight leotards and things like that. There's no like, it's like this, you know, it's skin tight material in dance. And I loved to dance. And I remember the only reason I think I quit my freshman year of high school, or maybe 8th grade, because I was too embarrassed to get on stage in the outfits.
Oh wow. So go back for a second. Were you just like, how at 12, that's pretty young. Were you just like what was your reason of being overweight? Do you overeat a lot? Was it snacks? Like what? Okay.
So we grew up in the 80s and 90s, and my dad is a physician, and it was the fat-free era. Sugar-free, fat-free. So we would eat those like sugar-free Snackwell cookies, which if anyone is in their 30s or up probably remembers. Sugar-free this, diet Cokes, diet cherry 7-Ups. So it was very much the sugar-free, fat-free before the low carb and no sugar. So a lot of artificially sweetened foods. And however, in addition to that whole world, I think from day one, we always ate fish and produce. And, my mom cooked from scratch my whole childhood. We weren't eating like frozen fish sticks. It was literally portion control and lack of movement. And living in a sedentary, so there was not a lot of built-in activity in my day-to-day, so I would have to be in sports or other activities, which, by the way, I was in a million activities from day one. But as I got older, I'd be like, I remember high school, I tried out for softball, me and all my girlfriends, freshman year. It's funny, I loved softball, but I'm not like delusional to think I was like amazing at it. But I definitely gave it my best shot. And I remember only two of us got cut. And all my friends, I mean, these are not athletic people, but everyone made it but me and this one other girl. And they offered me to play score. So I went home that day, Vince, ran to the basement where I lived in the basement and just sobbed in my bed.
Wow.
I was so embarrassed.
Wow. That's
so
sad.
embarrassed. So when you are not even able to be active, like you get cut from every sports team, dances out, all these different things you love to do, can't play volleyball. It's harder for someone that lives in the Midwest to stay active, especially in the winter and things like that. 12-year-olds don't really want to hop on the treadmill.
Oh yeah, you're 12.
Right.
Wow. So just not moving around.
Yeah, and overeat. I would say
overeating.
getting seconds. My family they're good cooks.
Yeah.
So I'd get a portion of rice is half a cup. Most people eat at least a cup of rice on their plate.
Yeah.
Sometimes 2 cups. So I was just eating more calories than I was burning. But
classic.
I wasn't eating like fast food and things like that. We ate fish twice a week, roast chicken a lot. It was just too much.
So around like at a young age, you're very conscious of your weight. But did you
yeah.
want to lose it though, or did you not care?
So I certainly wasn't. I mean, I didn't have the desire to really lose it until I was in my mid-20s, 25, so close to your age. So I can't say I was praying to stay fat, but I wasn't necessarily, for whatever reason, I wasn't going on the treadmill in the morning. My dad, I remember, would work out every morning, and I'd be like sleeping until noon. I was a teenager, I wasn't looking to, and my family never made me feel, I was surrounded by people that were also overweight. By the way, not morbidly. This wasn't like my dad worked out every day. I also had examples of health, like fish twice a week, farmer's market, fresh produce. Nothing was processed really. So it wasn't, but it wasn't like my mom and I weren't going for runs together, and I wasn't going to necessarily go to the gym by myself.
And knowing your family like pointed it out, or did they?
Yeah, my mom, yeah, I'm not going to throw her under the bus.
Okay, sorry, we'll move on from that one.
But yeah, no,
So
I was definitely overweight and I knew it, but so was my mom and sisters. And so were my relatives.
okay, so it was just
So it
kind
wasn't
of
like you guys, and I was always healthy, knock on wood.
it's like that typical like American like
Midwest.
Midwest
Yep.
cheese.
So I graduated high school, Vince, at 223 pounds.
So
and
you
remember, I grew up in a high school, just to paint the picture, everyone was thin, athletic, tall, blonde.
So you stuck out like a sore thumb.
Also, I was overweight, brunette, Jewish, Middle Eastern girl. And so, for example, the dances, I never got invited to a dance.
Yeah.
I was always left out.
Other dances.
Oh, yeah. And my friends would always go. So you're like,
What do you mean left out? Oh, you had to be asked to go?
I
Or you
I
just
asked,
didn't go because you didn't get asked?
I
Or
asked,
did the girls have to ask somebody?
Well, the girls were always asked in the 90s,
Okay.
just flat out. I didn't have any friend that ever asked a guy out.
So was the rules like you don't get asked, you can't go? Or were you just...
Well, to your point, I would have, I didn't, so like
This is
nowadays how girls will go with girls or
Yeah.
like with friends.
Yeah.
Well, all my friends had dates.
So you're just not gonna go.
Well,
You had that much.
a lot of the dates too are things where it's like the guys are supposed to ask the girl. I think there's another one where it goes the other way. But here's the thing, Vince. I'm also very self-aware, so this is going to sound crazy, you guys. But I'm just going to be totally vulnerable here. I wasn't going to make a guy feel badly saying no to me. And I knew no one wanted to go with me.
Oh wow. So you're just like fuck the school dances.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no, I wouldn't say I was fuck the school dances. I was home crying and sad I wasn't there. Just felt left out. But I didn't want to make a guy feel bad or feel obligated to go with me, because obviously somebody would have asked me if they wanted to go with me. It wasn't like 99% of people were asked by a guy. So
Yeah.
if someone wanted to go with me, they would have asked me, and I wasn't going to put that on somebody else. Because I get what you're saying, like, why didn't you just ask a guy? But I don't want to make them feel bad or.
No, I wasn't. I was just wondering because I grew up in a whole different era. So
Yeah,
just
it's
like,
different.
That's interesting. So like, I mean, your school was small. Like, were you like the only one not going to the dance, there must have been a few others?
There were probably a few others, but it wasn't like I had friends to hang out with that night.
Because I was at the dance.
Yeah. Just like everyone was playing softball, everyone was playing volleyball. I mean, my friends were all smart and pretty, and there weren't a lot of like fat, ugly people.
Wow.
No,
So,
literally there weren't.
So, well, I want to uncover too much of your childhood, but that sounds crazy. So let's move on.
You can laugh, by the way. Like, you're not gonna. I'm sure it's like crazy.
I mean, like, yeah, like it's so different, right? I mean,
Different from your childhood, you mean?
yeah, like there was definitely like, for example, like I wish a coach said,
Do you want to?
"You want to win, and you want to play, or do you want to win?"
And why do you wish that?
Just because I think that like and not in the negative sense of like being passive aggressive and
Yeah.
saying that to a group of people. I feel like you shouldn't do that as like an adult, especially as like a coach, because like that makes people kind of look around and be like, well, who's he talking to?
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of fucked up. But like in the sense
Yeah.
of like
Yeah, I know.
in the sense of like, you know, we're here to like win. Like that was not around. Like that was
Yeah.
dying fast when I was growing
Oh,
up.
totally.
Like,
Back when, yeah.
Getting out there and playing.
Everyone didn't get trophies in the 90s.
Yeah, getting out.
That's a new thing.
Yeah, so getting out there and like and playing
Yes.
was my generation thing.
Yes.
So like
Probably because of mine, where sad Sallies were left out like me. They didn't want people left out.
exactly.
I was 100%. That's to your point. That definitely was not. There were good people, and I was not good. The end.
Yeah.
There was no cushioning of it.
Yeah, so what ended up happening was like if your parents were affluent, then you ended up playing no matter if you were good or not.
Right.
And so I didn't really like that all the time playing sports growing up, but I can
Yeah.
but I can definitely relate to like you know where you stand
Oh yeah.
like at a young age. You
And
shared
I
memories.
also, by the way, when that happened, so I mean, you know me now, and obviously we know so much now about me being a type 2 and all that. But I remember vividly, Vince, long before I knew anything about personality type, that when that question came up by the coach, I wasn't angry at her or mad at her, nor did I want to ever slow down the group from winning. I was like, heck yeah, girls, go win. You got to do this. No, don't worry about me. I was like, literally just like, it's fine. Don't worry about me. No. Go, go, go. Like I did not have an ounce of me that was, what, you guys, we should all be like, no, I wanted them to win. I didn't ever want to get in the way of them getting their trophies.
Yeah. Do you say that's part of your chip? All this
I don't
childhood.
think so, because it's not a chip of anger. It's like
It's not be anger.
I think it's like a sadness.
It's interesting because like now it seems like we'll get to that. So
Yeah. Okay.
So you graduate high school, and how do you remember your weight at high school? By the way, you said that number like you knew it so well.
Because when I believe it must have been at the doctor's office, you get weighed once a year,
Yeah.
and I think, trying to remember, it might have been once I lost the weight. My doctors had like records and told me.
Oh, so
It wasn't like I was weighing myself in high school, but I remember, and it was later on that I learned that.
Yeah.
So
Is that your heaviest in high school?
yeah,
Okay, so you're two.
I used to shop in the men's section at Gap. There were
Wow.
no plus
Shout out to
size
Gap.
stores. Shout out to Gap. There were no plus size stores back then.
Of course not.
So when I would go shopping with my friends at the mall, which also was like all you really did back then, I would have to like fake shop, knowing full well nothing in that store was ever going to fit me. But I didn't want them to feel bad. I was always managing other people's emotions. So I didn't want them to feel awful because of me. So I just like fake shuffled through the shirt.
Do you-
Oh, these are so cute. And I love to find outfits for my friends because then they wouldn't even realize that nothing was fitting me.
That's so interesting. So you're saying that none of them realized that?
Yeah, and I know they didn't because we've talked about it since. Because I wrote about it when my blog post went viral. And I remember my friends, two of them, my college and both, because it happened in college as well. I didn't lose weight till after college. So in Boston, tons of cool stores. But again, this is even the early 2000s. There was like a Lane Bryant. There were a couple. But I never wanted someone to have to go into the Lane Bryant with me and waste their time. You know, like I didn't want to make them like, I would go on my own to shop because I didn't want someone, you know, this probably sounds silly, but girls go like shopping together. Very commonly, like in college, you like spend half the day at the mall. So when you are doing an activity, it's like going to a steakhouse, but you don't eat meat. Like I couldn't buy clothes in J. Crew or Banana Republic or Ann Taylor Loft or wherever the heck. Definitely not the boutiques on like Newbury Street. So, but I equally was never going to be like, I didn't want to make them feel bad. So I just fake shopped.
That's true. That's so crazy that they weren't aware of that. But again, just different era, I guess, too.
Well, and it wasn't like I was 300 pounds either. I mean, I'm tall. I carry my weight well. I didn't look like a linebacker. I've always dressed well.
Yeah.
So they didn't think of me as this like huge obese person.
Great friends.
Yeah.
So
Shout
then,
out to my friends.
so then you go to Boston, you go to college.
Yep.
And did you lose it? So you said
Okay.
after college. So
So freshman year of college, though, I did lose 23 pounds. That's how I knew. So that's because it was a walking town. I didn't have a car.
you lost 23 pounds.
No, not doing any gym.
I
was eating chicken fingers at 2 a.m.
just by walking around.
because my college was a 20-minute walk each way.
Yeah.
I went to the hospitality school, and so that was like a smaller. It was less popular than like the art school.
Yeah.
So it was like 20 minutes up,
Yeah.
and I walked. So I just walked. I remember like the orientation day, we walked around Boston. I was like walking for 2 hours, but didn't feel like working out because you're just walking around the city.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're in New York and you could get 20,000 steps in a day. That was back then in college in Boston. I was in the downtown in the big city. So yeah. But anyways, keep going.
So you lose 20.
Don't worry, it didn't stay off because I moved to London and gained it back.
Oh, so I was about to say.
So
So do you lose 23? Do you notice?
no.
So how do you feel? Like, how does your body feel this moment? Like, do you feel good internally, or you feel
No,
like?
because I'm eating chicken fingers and not.
So you feel like shit.
I mean, let's just put it this way. I still had no boyfriends, no men. Like, we would go out and like, by the end of the night, I was always alone because everyone went off with guys.
Yeah.
I remember like one time we would go to Montreal a lot because it's like kind of close and you can drink under 21. And I remember being in massive clubs, you know how that is, big city. And going with a big group. And I just remember being in the middle of this club, like all my friends were suddenly gone. And obviously they're with guys, so you're not going to you're not going to try to find them. But I just remember being like, oh my God, I'm the only one left. That story happened. Like there were dances in college, like Back Bay Ball. I remember I had guy friends at this point. Like my guy friends would dance with me, but like I never had a date.
Yeah. Damn. So you're doing a college
Why is
life.
that?
Because it's just
No,
funny.
what do you think about that? Is that crazy?
No, it's just like I'm trying to like find the words right. Like I don't know like how to.
I know, it's okay. It's crazy, huh?
Well, it's crazy because it's like we all know the people, and you could be one if you're listening that are like the fat person in the room,
Yeah.
and it's like it's always funny to like you forget like that experience, right? If that's not you, or you're having that experience currently, and it's like
And I was, and I was right. Like, I was in my 20s, so like my first quarter of my life. I mean, you're 24, so it wasn't like this ended when I was 12. Like this went on. Like your adult years, you really remember.
your forming years
You're correct.
as being an adult in a big city. So you feel like crap. You lose 23 pounds, but then you go to London. You said
Yeah.
you tour, you eat like crazy. Obviously.
Not even that. It's the drinking because I was underage, and you go to London, suddenly you can drink legally. So and London's a big city like New York. Clubs are open till 4 a.m.
Yeah.
So it was just a lot of, and back then when you don't really drink, you get like I remember like there's a bar called Sex on the Beach, and all we drank was giant Sex on the Beaches, like 8,000 calories.
Just getting fucked up.
And oh yeah, just I mean it was like New York City or in London, you guys is just nuts. And it's pre-COVID. Just
So
club scene was crazy.
So it's safe to say, even though you're like overweight and it wasn't perfect, you still enjoyed the first half of your life. So,
Oh yeah.
'cause,
I'm very social
yeah. So
and funny.
okay, so what year? When did you decide to lose weight?
So
When did it all spark?
okay.
Because it seems like you're having the time of your life, being a little with extra feathers on. It seems
Right.
like it doesn't really bug you that much.
And I also met Rich when I was overweight. Remember, I got married at 24,
Crazy too.
your age. So I was happily married. So then college was 21. Graduate college. I get a great job. I'm the class speaker. So there's like that. I won all these awards. So I was excelling in other areas. I met the love of my life. So, I was really, really, really happy. I loved college, you guys. And to be honest, I liked high school, but it's almost like later in life I realized how awful it was. And I've gotten so many like apology emails from people over the years that things I didn't remember they had done.
Well, I think you're just an optimist.
I am.
So like none of that shit really fazed you.
I think so too. And maybe delusional. Like maybe I'm just like, I think I am an optimist. I just wanted, and I've always been a harmonizer, wanting the group to be like happy and having fun. So honestly, I would have felt worse if like I got the guy and like my friend was left alone. That would have killed me. Whereas like I was like happy, like my friends were all having a blast. I organized the Montreal trip. I obviously wanted them to all have fun. So I was like, I did it, mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I organized a spring break trip. They're having fun. They're all off with guys. I'm here alone in Cancun. But I was almost more that I was happy to see them happy.
Happy to see them happy.
Very happy to see them happy. So I wasn't necessarily like mad at that. It wasn't like a thing where I was ever.
No, I'm not trying to push to see if you're mad or angry or upset. It's just interesting that like how you explain it, or your perspective on the whole thing.
I think I've always skewed high in the optimism.
So you do college, you find love of your life, shout out to Rich. You get a good job, you're excelling. Mm-hmm. So what makes you like everything's perfect? Why does
Here's what
Liz has
happened.
this perfect life? Why does she
Okay.
want to lose weight?
It came down to this, you guys, and I bet some of you relate. Are you enjoying this episode right now? If you could do us a favor, we would love to get the word out about the Passion to Profit podcast to other people. If you could take a screenshot, post this on your Instagram stories and tag at Irie.lemon, we would be so, so grateful. Thank you. Guys, and I bet some of you relate. There's always that thing, that switch, that trigger, that something that happens. And for me, Rich and I attended our friend's wedding, and super simple, February 2006, I saw a photo of myself, didn't like how I looked. I was basically disgusted with how I looked. I shouldn't say disgusted, because this all also came from a place of love. I've never been one, I mean, Vince, I was told I was pretty my whole childhood. I wasn't beating myself up. I thought I was pretty. Don't laugh. You've seen some of the photos.
I'm not gonna laugh.
But I shouldn't say, I wasn't delusional to think though that I was like the hottest, skinniest girl, which, as you know, in America, men want hot, skinny girls. Like skinnier the better. Curves were not revered back then at all. So let me put it this way. I didn't think I was like, I didn't beat myself up. I thought I was very pretty. I always had a little bit of confidence in that for some reason. But I also wasn't thinking I was like the hottest girl in the room. Like, I'm not stupid.
So to the people listening who don't have that confidence, what would you tell them?
I honestly, I work on that every single day. I would say, just know that everyone has insecurities. My skinniest, prettiest friends, the things they complain about, I have an air of gratitude and appreciation for the reality of what you have. And I'm not going to sit around nitpicking my body. And I've been around so many skinny girls my whole life that hate their bodies. They complain about their bodies. And don't get me wrong, everyone is entitled to their insecurities. I also learned that lesson because I have a lot of friends thinner than me, and they're allowed to have their insecurities just like bigger girls are. But I just never beat myself up over that. So that's why, I didn't lose weight to find a man or to look skinny or to fit into the jeans. I saw a photo, I didn't like it, and I literally the next day Googled weight loss tracker.
Boom, that quick.
That's
that
it.
easy.
I'm very pragmatic. Once I want to do something, I do it every single time, and I always succeed at it. I just didn't want to do it before. That's it. I didn't want to do it before.
So the picture sparked it all.
The picture. Sometimes you have to see. So in a weird way, and what's happened now is it's the reverse, but I thought I was thinner in my head than I was. And I'm, you know me, I'm an ESFJ. So things that are in like paper and writing have more value to me. And so seeing that holding that physical photo, then it was real. Isn't that funny? We talk about that a lot. Like that made it real.
Oh yeah.
Like seeing that photo made it real. I was like, okay, I need to lose weight. And it was also from a place of, I come from a lot of doctors and I'm very knowledgeable on the ramifications of being overweight. You're at a higher risk of heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. And again, knock on wood, I come from a very healthy line of people, which is partly why I didn't lose weight sooner. No doctor was ever saying you need to lose weight or you're going to get this or you're going to get that. I was healthy. I still am healthy. So you can be thin and unhealthy. You can also be overweight and healthy. I've always been overweight and healthy. You know what I mean? Like thin people still. Okay.
Oh yeah, I know you mean.
So I did not want to take that for granted. I just didn't want to take my good health for granted. I wanted to be proactive. My dad's big on preventative health. I wanted to be preventative. I wanted to prevent heart disease, cancer, diabetes. I'd already met Rich. Like it wasn't like at that point I was like trying to meet the guys in the clubs in Montreal.
Yeah. So, you saw a picture. You're ready to lose weight.
Yep.
You're happy. You made your decision.
Yeah. Googled weight loss tracker.
So what popped up when you Googled weight loss tracker?
All right, guys. Ready for this? myfooddiary.com. So this is 2006, way before we've got Apple Watches and smartphones and cool apps, blah, 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 blah. So it was just a website, myfooddiary.com. I still use it to this day. I don't use it every day anymore. And I literally began tracking what I was eating, as well as tracking my exercise and making sure there was a deficit every day. And the trick is to have a 250 calorie deficit every day to lose a pound a week, because that adds up to 3,500. There's 3,500 calories in a pound.
Mm-hmm.
So the secret with long-term weight loss is slow and steady wins the race. And side note, that's also the secret to success. So small things done every day. So instead of being like, I'm going to only eat 500 calories all day. I'm going to cut out 2,000 calories. No. Make sure there's a deficit. So I should clarify. 3,500 is 500 calories times 7. I say 250 because I would exercise as well. So you could either, if you don't want to exercise, you need to eat 500 calories less today than you did yesterday or last week. And if you eat 500 calories less 7 days in a week, you will lose 1 pound, period, end of story. And that's why I disagree with anybody that tells me calories don't matter. Calories are everything. There's aspects to that people get over-focused on, but at the end of the day, you will lose weight by eating 3,500 less calories in a week. You'll lose 1 pound that week. What I did was I would exercise for at least 250 calories and eat 250 calories less. That was better for me.
So 50-50 split.
Yeah. So, but you could also eat the same and burn 500 calories a day. Now, here's the next secret to weight loss. There needs to be a continual deficit. So I started doing that. I actually just went to Curves, which I don't even know if they're still around. It was 30 minutes a day, 3 days a week. And that's their whole mentality. It's women only, 30 minutes a day, 3 days a week. And for someone that wasn't working out regularly, and I'm not a runner, I don't have any examples of running. I don't have any athletes in my family. I don't have any real examples of that. I needed to start with something I could do and maintain. So going to curves is amazing because who doesn't have 30 minutes 3 days a week? We all do. So I got in the habit of being active, and also I got in the habit of doing something long term. I think what holds people back a lot is we have trouble sticking with something long term, and that's because we bite off more than we can chew. Whereas the 30 minutes 3 days a week is so much easier than running 7 miles a day every day.
Yeah,
You're not going to do that forever. Correct. So I started to lose about 1 to 1.5 pounds a week. And then it was great. And over time, it just, it also, so the other half, when you track your food, you have to measure and weigh things because that's how you know what a serving is. It's one thing to track your food, guys, if you're not really measuring it or tracking it or weighing it. You're underestimating how much you're eating. Measure 2 ounces of pasta and report back. Measure out 5 ounces of wine. Measure out 64 grams of ice cream. Yes, that's the serving. You have to measure and weigh things in the beginning to get an understanding. I think as a culture, we've lost sight of what a portion is. You go to a restaurant.
Everything's bigger in Texas. Everything's bigger in America.
A serving of meat is 4 to 5 ounces, maybe 6 ounces of fish.
Yeah.
People are ordering 56-ounce steaks, myself included.
Me too.
So, we just lose sight of what a portion is. And what's great is that nothing's off limits in moderation. Nothing. I never cut anything out ever.
Nothing's off limits in moderation. So you lose weight, you're starting small.
Yeah.
And so where were you a year from that? Did you lose a lot of weight?
My first year, I think my first year I lost either 18 pounds or 35 pounds. I think I lost 35 pounds in a year and a half.
So your first year and a half, you lost 35 pounds.
Yeah.
Big win.
Big win.
You feeling great?
I feel freaking amazing.
But you want to do more.
So.
Why didn't you stop at the 35?
Okay. I had a number in my head, and it was 180 pounds. And I had a firm belief I would never get under that ever. Yeah. No way. How if someone's like, what do you want to weigh? And you pick a number. And you just have it in your head that there's no way. I mean, I was 223 pounds in high school. So 180 sounds fantastic. Mm-hmm. And by the way, guys, that's such a lesson that our thoughts control everything. Because 180 to most women sounds god-awful. Most people want to 145. I've never seen that number on my scale. I never will. It's all what we think. But I just had this thought that at first I was like, if I can just get under 200 pounds. I think my first goal weight was 185. So then I hit that. That was huge.
That was huge.
And then I was like, let's just keep going.
Why stop? Mm-hmm. So, year and a half, you're still in Boston? Or you're back in West Michigan?
I was in Boston. Yep. So, I moved home when I had reached my goal weight of 165.
Okay. And how many years was that from?
So I moved home in June of 2007. So 2 years. Or no. It's like a year and a half. So now remember when I think when I started the tracking, I was 213. Let's say maybe 208, 213.
So you're around there.
So whatever that is minus 165. I don't have a calculator on me.
Yeah, some pounds.
Yeah, some pounds. 48. There we go. So we're at 48 pounds.
Yeah.
So then I move home, and then I open a hotel.
What happens when you open the hotel?
Guys, let's just say it comes down to 2 things. Number 1, when you open a hotel, you are surrounded by multiple restaurants and kitchens all day, every day. And who works in those restaurants and kitchens? Charming chefs that want you to give them feedback on their food all day. All day, every day. Mm-hmm. You walk past, hey, what do you think of this? Try this. Hey, you should have this. Because they're developing menus, they're working on catering.
And who are you to say no?
Who am I to say no? And being a foodie, I secretly wanted to work in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So I was in there all the time because I secretly wanted to work there.
Yeah.
So, and additionally, I was in sales. So I was constantly entertaining clients with whining and dining. Constantly. Mm-hmm. That was my job. I was traveling a ton, conferences. Remember conferences, guys? Vegas, all over.
So you gain it all back?
I gained 50 pounds in a year.
Wow. So I think that's good for people to like, because I feel like a lot of people lose the weight and they get it right back.
Yeah.
So what were some of the things? Obviously your job, but what else?
100%.
What else didn't keep you on there? Like you had the same job in
Alcohol
Boston.
and food.
Well, you had
Food and alcohol. We were
Well,
going
what-
out all the time. Rich wasn't in Michigan yet.
What was the difference between Boston to GR? Like what really changed?
I had a massive social life. I was going out every night. The hotel had a pre-opening budget, meaning there was no budget. We would
Did
go
you
out
have
for
that
drinks.
massive social life back in
No,
Boston?
I was working a 9 to 5 sales job in the suburbs. I wasn't going out. I wasn't entertaining clients. So suddenly I went from the suburbs in Boston, working 9 to 5, meal prepping, cooking homemade dinners, never going out. You know what I'm saying? Like it was very different. And then I moved to Michigan. Rich is still back in Boston for the summer. So I don't have kids. I basically don't have a husband that summer. And we're all like on this management team getting to know each other. You
Yeah.
guys, it was a really fun summer. Pool parties. I mean, the Bob was lit back then. They had this like patio back then. It was like, we called it, we were like the Red Couch Club. We would be happy hours. 5 o'clock, we were at the bars.
Yeah.
Out,
So he's going hard.
Going hard and not paying a dime. I remember one time moving
Of
back.
course.
And I remember one time I did pick up the tab and I was so nervous. We had been out for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
God bless West Michigan. It was $43. Apparently, like the hard alcohol drinks were $1 on happy hour.
Yeah.
Happy hour is illegal in Boston. So I was like unfamiliar with this whole thing. I was like, oh, this is fantastic.
Happy hour is illegal in Boston.
It is.
That's funny.
It's like, yeah,
Too much.
too much. So alcohol, you guys, not the best.
All right. So you bring it back. Bring back the 50.
And
what makes you want to lose weight again?
my clothes didn't fit. And I had just spent a lot of money on suits. And I was like,
You like fuck.
oh gosh, you guys, to be honest with you, the only reason I still cut the weight off now, because don't forget I got pregnant, all that. That's to come. But I can't buy my clothes every time.
Yeah.
And I've thrown away all my bed clothes now. So
You're committed.
I'm committed.
Pot committed. So, all right. So you
I had to
gained
get out
the
of that
weight back.
hotel ASAP, Rocky.
So
Thank
so
God.
you didn't start losing weight again till you get left the hotel?
Well, thank God they fired me.
Wow.
They laid
So-
off like 30 managers.
So you get laid off. Rich comes back, or is he
Now I'm working from home.
not working from home, and then you're in the suburbs again.
So I'm self-employed.
Is that your formula, Liz? Suburbs,
Yes. No, for real.
no social life.
No. Well, and it's also when so now I'm at home, working from home for the first time in my life. I got an LLC. I was now self-employed. And
Do you go back to myfooddiary.com? So you go right back to it.
start tracking.
Yeah.
And I also start going to the gym a lot because I work from home alone and I'm social. So I needed some interaction with people. So I go to the gym and start taking group exercise classes for the first time. And sometimes I'll take 2 classes because I have nowhere else to be. It was just, it was like to see my friend. And then I became friends with everybody at the gym. I became best friends with someone that my whole social life was formed at the gym, which is nice.
It's made it
then,
easier.
Yeah. It's definitely easier to be in a circle with you mimic your circle of 5, you guys. We talk about this constantly. So if your health isn't where you want it to be, you should definitely take a cold, hard look at your circle. It's a lot easier to be healthy and to limit things like alcohol and sugar and carbs or whatever it is you're trying to limit if your circle is. It's really difficult to do that if, hey, you want to go grab this, or hey, you want some dessert, or hey, try this pasta, or hey, let's forget the gym, let's watch this movie. It's a lot harder. I mean, we're humans, and I think we sometimes give ourselves too much credit for our discipline and our motivation. Make it easy on yourself. You know, it's like having cookies in the house and then wondering why you keep eating them.
You gotta eliminate all the distractions.
All the distractions.
So you can stay disciplined. So you're back on it.
Thank God out of the hotel, because just the nature of a hotel is tough.
So how much weight do you lose this time around?
So I lose, I'm pretty sure I lost, like, let's say 40 pounds.
So you lose it back.
Yeah, I lose it back.
So you're back again.
And then I get pregnant.
Down it's like boom, you get pregnant.
Yeah.
And then
Gain it back.
you gain it right the fuck back.
And then Ironically, after Asher, I actually got 20 pounds thinner than I was before I got pregnant.
Before Asher?
Well, after I had Asher,
Oh,
right.
after Asher.
So after having Asher, I got 20 pounds lighter than before I got pregnant with him.
Okay.
Two words for you guys. Breastfeeding. There you go. Pro tip.
Part of the recipe.
I mean, you guys, nursing burns a ton of calories, and I highly recommend if you can do it.
Do
It's
it.
really helpful for losing weight. And everyone that nurses knows this. Because you be eating a ton because you're
Yeah.
starving, but you're still losing tons of weight. It burns like 500 calories a day.
Oh,
Which
wow.
is very helpful when you're trying to lose weight. So I got down 20 pounds thinner. Then I got pregnant again.
Mm.
And of course, your second pregnancy, you're also getting older.
Yeah.
So now I'm in my mid 30s.
Yeah.
So that whole thing about, like, the minute I turned 30, metabolism, you have to report back if this happens to you. It was like very noticeable year 30.
I think my metabolism gave up at 16.
I mean, honestly, you probably
Personally.
notice a difference. Like, do you notice a difference from high school to now?
No, I was always like skinny fat.
Yeah.
So I've kind of been the same my whole life.
Really?
Yeah, I would say so.
What does skinny fat mean?
Like, you're skinny, but you're fat. You know what I'm saying?
That's funny.
Now I'm stocky and cocky all 2021. But
Right.
we're not talking
But
about
back then.
We're not talking to me about. We're not talking about me right now.
Okay.
But back.
Stay tuned for the next episode, Stocking Cocky
Yeah.
2021.
What the fuck I was about to ask you? All right, so the kids, you lose it, you make it. You lose
Yeah,
it,
and
you
your
lose it
second
again.
pregnancy, you always gain more weight because you're like, oh, I could totally lose this back later like I did the first time.
And
So I
all-
gained more weight with it, Jacob.
So also during all this time, you have a business, you're a mom with 2 boys. So what were some things? What are some tips for the people who have similar situations as you? Mm-hmm. Like what were some things that you did daily to keep you on track?
Right. So one thing I did is I started scheduling my workouts for the week ahead. And I think that it's super important to schedule time for yourself before you take care of the rest of your family. Because otherwise, I was listening to a podcast recently it was actually of a type 2. And type 2s love to help others. But with children, you could literally help 24/7. There's no end to the help needed. There's no, okay, they're good now. So you have to be proactive and schedule in that fitness first. The other thing too is just meal prepping and meal planning. And if you
What's
plan,
some of your sorry, go ahead, finish that
I
sentence.
was gonna say, if you plan out what you're going to eat throughout the week, you're going to have a much higher likelihood of sticking to that and eating healthier. Because what happens is our brains, when they're hungry, oh man, give me a chicken finger and a French fry any day, I'll eat that. Or you're driving and you're starving, fast food it is. Whereas if you plan out ahead of time, you make those decisions of what you're going to eat when you're in a good, healthy, clear head state. If you're starving, you're no longer clear-headed. Your goal is to be fed immediately.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. Whereas, it's like when you go to the grocery store hungry versus not. Compare those two carts and report back.
So it's like if you don't want to forget something, you leave it by your door.
1,000%.
That's what you're doing.
So I would basically make meal plans for the week. So I would
Yeah.
type it out, and I have a blog post which we can link to it about how I meal plan. I literally would open a Microsoft Word document. I usually do this on Sundays. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, blah, 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 blah. Type out the meal, and then from that I make the grocery list, and then I shop, and I tape it, and that's what we ate throughout the week. And then I would make extra dinner to have for lunch the next day, guaranteeing 2 healthy, because breakfast is always a little bit easier to handle.
What's your mindset during all this?
Vince with the tricky questions. Well, and now I've got the kids. I'm older. I'm losing it now the 3rd or 4th time. It was definitely tough. It's harder to. It's a lot more fun the first time. You're getting the compliments. For the first time, don't forget, Vince, I was able to shop at a normal store. I'll never forget being able to buy like a size 12 pants for the first time, or size 10
Yeah.
in a normal store.
Yeah.
Those are the types of things that like we all take for granted. That was a big moment. So now that I've gaining it back is discouraging. and it can be really, discouraging, and it's hard, it's tough. And, you know, I'm not going to pretend that I was like, oh, I got this. This is so easy. It's harder the more you do it. The other thing too is by now I'm working out at the gym, taking 1 to 2 classes a day. Well, what happens is your body has muscle memory and it gets used to your workouts. So you can't just keep doing the same thing to lose weight or to maintain. Maintaining is so much harder than losing.
Yeah.
Because what happens is you have to continually do harder and harder workouts to trick your body into thinking it's being challenged.
Wow.
Otherwise, that same 30-minute on the treadmill isn't going to be effective. So
Wow.
it's like a constant battle.
So before we wrap up, what are some things that like you really want people to understand about weight loss and really understand about your story?
Okay. I would say the biggest thing is that weight loss takes work, and maintaining it is the hardest work. Losing it was easy and fun. Because what happens is now you reach your goal weight or your low weight, and let's say in the beginning you just had to have a 500 calorie deficit. Well, as you get thinner, you can only eat less and less calories to keep losing weight. So the journey doesn't really stop when you reach your weight. But what I would just say is that you have to be honest with yourself. And this is where I know, Vince, you teach me so much about this, but you have to be really self-aware and honest with yourself. And I think too many of us are a little disillusioned, myself included, in many areas of my life. But you need to be honest with yourself and admit, are you committed or interested in making your health a priority? Yes or no? Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to be healthier? What is your why? Are you committed to making yourself a priority? And I think the first step is being honest with yourself. But if you are, I want you to know you can do it. I was completely unathletic, overweight, really no examples of this. And if you want to do it, just like anything in the world, you can do it. But you have to be honest with yourself about if you want to do it. And then I just want to also point out that like anything, like any type of accomplishment in your life, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So there's no end to this. So I still, for example, can't eat dessert every meal. I still can't have cocktails every day of the week, pandemic or not. I still can't skip exercise and just hope it stays off. It won't. I still have to weigh and measure foods from time to time, or track my food when I get off course, or exercise double one day if I know the next day I can't. It's a constant everyday thing, but I just urge you to look at it day by day and not get overwhelmed with the big picture of it all, and just look at it day by day, and you'll see results that way.
Powerful. What do you miss, or what do you like being more, being overweight or underweight or fit?
I'm like the happiest now that I've ever been.
Boom. Lose the weight, guys.
It feels good. It gives you confidence, and it makes you feel powerful and strong and healthy. And now that I've got little boys, it's like I'm so happy I'm active with them.
Well,
did you like that, Vince?
I liked it. I think it was a great episode.
So if you guys want to hear more, I was thinking it'd be cool to do an episode about, I know right now, especially with what's going on, a lot of people, and I would say I've been hearing from women almost exclusively, are struggling because they're moms, they're homeschooling, they're working from home. And someone said she feels like she's a diner chef feeding people around the clock 24/7 now that restaurants are shut down. So I'm going to urge Vince to see if we can do another episode where we kind of break down how to overcome the struggles and the roadblocks to losing weight that are really relevant, I think, right now with women in particular wearing a lot of hats right now and not necessarily being able to, go to the gym all the time or get that great salad at that restaurant and things like that. So let us know if you think that'd be interesting. And we'll do that.
We get her done. All right, guys.
All right. Peace
Bye.
out.
today. Yes, you going to learn this jazz, 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 jazz. Ooh, I even got your girl some jazz yesterday. True, 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 true. No, I'm just playing.